A donkey spent 3 years chasing a dream. Not because it was impossible, not because he wasn't capable, but because he kept saying the same 2 words, tomorrow. Those 2 words nearly cost him everything. Once upon a time, in a quiet valley wrapped in green hills, there lived a young donkey named Bruno. Bruno had a dream. Far beyond the valley stood a hill where the sweetest apples grew. Every animal who returned from that place looked different, happier, stronger. Bruno wanted that too. He imagined it every day, but he never moved. The next morning, Bruno woke up and looked outside. The sky was cloudy. He said, "The weather doesn't look ideal. I'll start tomorrow." The following day was sunny, but Bruno felt slightly tired. "I should be fully rested before beginning. I'll start tomorrow." Tomorrow came again, then again, and again. Weeks became months, months became years. Every day, Bruno found a reason to wait. Too hot, too cold, too windy, too tired, too busy. Not enough time, not enough energy, not enough confidence. Meanwhile, he spent hours imagining how wonderful life would be once he finally reached the apple hill. One day, Bruno saw a fox walking past him. The fox was carrying a basket full of red apples. Bruno froze. "Where did you get those?" he asked. "The hill," the fox said. Bruno lowered his head. "I've wanted to go for years." "Then why haven't you?" the fox asked. Bruno began listing his usual reasons: the weather, his schedule, his worries. The fox listened quietly. 3 years ago, I was standing exactly where you are now." Bruno blinked. "You?" "I kept waiting too, waiting for the perfect day, waiting for certainty. The hill wasn't getting closer. I was just getting older." A long silence followed. Days later, a violent storm hit the valley. Trees bent violently in the wind. Rain flooded the paths. Bruno stayed inside, feeling relieved. "This is exactly why I wait," he said to himself. "If I had started earlier, I would be stuck in this storm." For the first time, he felt justified, safe, smart. But the next morning told a different story. The storm had passed. The valley was quiet again, and one by one, animals returned from the hill. The fox, the rabbit, the squirrel, even the old tortoise. All of them carried apples. Bruno stood frozen. For years, he had treated every obstacle like a stop sign. They had treated them like weather, temporary, not permanent. That evening, Bruno sat alone under a tree. An old crow landed beside him. Without looking at Bruno, he asked, "What are you waiting for?" "The perfect time." The crow let out a dry chuckle. "There is no perfect time." "There has to be," Bruno insisted quietly. The crow shook his head. "Life doesn't reward perfect timing. It rewards movement." Bruno remained silent. Most dreams don't die because people fail. They die because people keep postponing them. Those words hit Bruno harder than he expected, because deep down, he knew they were true. The next morning, Bruno made a decision. Not a dramatic decision, not a life-changing declaration, just a small step. He would walk toward the hill. Nothing more, no promises, no pressure, just movement. At first, his body resisted. His mind, "You can start tomorrow." But something inside him replied differently this time. No. So he walked. Every step felt heavier than expected. The comfort of waiting still called him back, but he kept going. When the sun grew hot, he slowed down. When fatigue came, he rested briefly. When doubt appeared, he moved anyway. For the first time in years, Bruno was no longer living in imagination. He was living in action. Days later, Bruno finally reached the top. The air was cooler, the sky was wider, and the apples were even more beautiful than he had imagined. Golden light covered the valley below. A soft wind moved through the trees. Bruno stood. But something unexpected happened. He didn't feel excitement first. He felt stillness. Then, understanding. The hill had never been the real challenge. It was simply delayed. All those years, he believed the hill was blocking him. But now he realized something deeper. He had been standing in his own way. And before you realize it, you're no longer the person who waits. You become the one who moves. When Bruno returned to the valley, younger animals gathered around him. "How did you finally do it?" they asked. Bruno thought for a moment. "I stopped waiting for motivation," he said. "I used to think motivation comes first, but I learned something else. The first step creates the second, and before you realize it, you're no longer the person who waits. You become the one who moves." Don't wait for the perfect day. Start with the day you already have. Because the future you want is often hiding behind the first step you're afraid to take. Bruno looked back at the hill one last time. He didn't see distance anymore. He saw time he had lost to waiting, and time he could have used to start. He finally understood something simple. The perfect time was never coming. The moment to start was always now.